I think we're live. Everybody, another episode, another podcast from Felipe, your crazy creative designer from Brazil living in Germany. And today I have a very, very, very cool and special guest, Alex Timofte, the magician developer from Italy. He is fantastic professional. He's a fantastic, a very good friend, and I'm really, really happy to have him on board to talk about everything concerning code, AI, design, so we can, like start to understand how the machinery works. But I'll let my guest introduce himself. Alex, thanks, mate, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
You
you.
want to talk a little bit about what you do, how you do
Yeah,
it? Just give a little background.
yeah, sure. So thank you first of all for inviting me. It's, it's a great pleasure to have this conversation with you. I hope to bring some value to this conversation as you did with me with all the discussions that we had in the past. So yeah, what I can say? My name is Alex. I'm
Right.
Romanian, but I actually live
Yeah.
in Turin. Um, I lived in Turin since I was like 7,
Hmm.
and I did my computer science degree here in Turin,
Hmm.
and I started working as a freelancer while I was studying, and yeah, I'm now a freelancer working on Fiverr, uh, specifically working with Shopify and
Yeah. Right.
developing websites and apps all related to
Mhm.
Shopify.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And I think you're selling yourself short. I've
Mm.
known you now for like 3 years, and I wanna we can talk a little bit about the details of how you work. But I've seen you participate in our projects, not only on Shopify, right, but also on kind of like on Webflow or external projects that we had. For example, the bot, right, with the kind of
Mhm.
maps. That was a terrible project, which I never want to talk about again. But yeah, that's very cool. So you live in Turin. You did your computer sciences study degree. That was a bachelor, master. What was
It
it?
was
Like
a bachelor degree actually. Yeah,
a
but instead of
bachelor?
3 years, it took me like 5 years. But let's not talk about that. Yeah, because I was not 100% focused on studying at the time. I
Right.
always try to uh, work as well while
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
studying, finding some side hustles to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I never focused 100% on one thing, either studying or
Right.
working. So yeah, that's why it
Right.
took me a while.
Right. So do you
Um,
think it was mostly the work that distracted you during university? Like you wanted to do
mhm.
practical experience, and that's why you were a little distracted, or
I think I was distracted because I was seeing my other friends, already started working and making a quick buck and
yeah,
uh, going out on the weekend. I always need to ask my parents for money and stuff. So yeah, I couldn't focus either on studying on or
yeah,
working. So it took me a while to finish, but in the end, I did it.
right. Yeah, but the main thing is you actually finished. Like 90% of people they start and they're
Yeah, I
like,
have the paper now.
you have the goddamn paper. They. By the way, I've never seen your paper. Never seen that paper. So I'm gonna ask for it, young sir.
You
Um,
don't believe me, right? You don't believe my
Nah, I,
paper.
I don't believe a word you say. I never believed anything you told me. But it was like instead of 3 years, you did 5 years. But
Mhm.
do you think that's the best way to approach something like this to add a little bit of practical experience and take a little longer instead
Mhm.
of just doing like the theory? Or do you think there was a an experience that you would have done differently if you could?
Um, Knowing now how the things went, I wouldn't do
Mhm.
it again. I would focus 100% on studying
Studying,
because
right?
uh, I actually did most of my exams that I had to complete in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
So because in the last 2 years, I actually started focusing really hard on finishing this damn university.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, university is not that hard, and all the courses. I mean, I really like computer science and all related stuff. So
right,
it wasn't hard for me study
right.
these arguments, but yeah, I didn't focus enough on on it, so that's how I wasted my time.
Yeah, but probably,
Mm,
well, university is relatively easy. I know this as well, right? Because I did two bachelors and I was doing my master in marketing and advertising for a while, and that's another story for another time, for another universe, you know. But I know that most of these days, unfortunately, you do have to just repeat information that they give you, right? So
mhm,
most of the time, at least. And but I was lucky to have one or two very good professors where you can actually create something, where you can actually get into thinking and critical thinking.
mhm,
But I think on the one hand, it's like what I did has nothing to do with what you did, right? I think your course was much more binary. It's one and zeros. It's computer sciences, and what I did was, like the creative part and where you go insane and you can do everything except for computer science. you know, um, and I also saw how easy it was to, get the best marks at university. But the question was I actually learning something, that I was gonna use afterwards? And
mhm,
the answer was no, no. Like I studied for 8 years, and most of it I've never used ever since, and I don't think I'm gonna be using it again. So if you think about consider about your practical experiences in university, you did 3 years of study, two
mhm.
years study plus work, right? If I got that right.
Yep.
And you said, okay, you should focus on the studies. But do you think it's a natural path these days for people who start studying to work in parallel? Because I've seen people do this all the time. They push
Mhm,
their studies. They just want to make some money. They want to make a quick buck and they get a lot of practical experience. But do you think if we compare like 30 years from now, you look
mhm,
back, right? Which one was the better path for most people? Maybe not only for you, but objectively speaking, you know what I mean?
mhm, mhm. Uh, yeah. So actually, I would get back to why I decided to go to university.
Yeah,
Because I didn't want to do it. I wasn't interested in having a computer science degree because I had
yeah.
one of my best friends who's now living in Toronto, Canada, and
Oh,
he went to the high school with me, um,
mhm,
in the same profile as me, computer science. So, and he was already making great money working abroad for some times, and I
right.
think the issue is that when you start these university courses, etc.,
Mhm, mhm,
um, yeah, the bad thing is that uh, it seems like you are wasting your time sometimes.
right.
Because, as you said, you are studying some courses that you don't really like or you don't find that it will be useful
Yeah,
someday.
right,
So you're thinking like, am I wasting my time? Maybe I should do something on the side, to uh,
right.
keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the main issue with university. I think there should be
Mm,
a more like granular way to decide what courses exactly you want to follow
okay,
in
okay.
university instead of just having, yeah, you have to do these 20 exams, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
already predefined.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. It's always not really dynamic and adaptive,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
But do you think this is a trend that's gonna continue the way it is? Like
Mm,
that we need less and less to actually understand how things work, or actually to think for ourselves. Do you think this is a tendency that people, because of so much information and access to tools like ChatGPT and AI, etc., that is
Mhm,
actually making people more stupid, as was the case,
mhm,
like with like when the calculator was invented, right?
mhm.
People stopped doing like mathematical calculations in their mind. They're
Yeah.
like 69 plus 1. Let me check the calculator, you know? So, you know what I mean? So it makes people more passive, right? The more passive,
Mhm,
I think, is a better way to put it. And I saw that in university. I can see it in your case as well in university.
mhm,
And my feeling is that it's getting worse and worse. That you know that all this access to all the information and the knowledge
mhm,
is making you more and more passive, you know, to actually become a successful academic with your own individual profile, you know.
mhm.
Do you see this as a trend in computer science, maybe because you have experience with it, or in general, do you think that's something that we're moving to in all industries?
Yeah, I actually see it as a trend that it's going to take some time to in the future because
Yeah.
you know, I see like the uh, all the things around the world are constantly moving and changing,
Mhm.
but the school system, university system is stuck with the same. Mm, I mean, it always worked like that since it was
Right.
invented, and it never evolves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think universities should evolve as well. I mean, the school system in general.
hmm
So
hmm
uh, yeah, I don't know, like uh, let you use AI for
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
like when we started using calculators, right? As your
Right.
example. I mean, they were introduced automatically to university as well. I mean, you can't still use
That's
calculators,
true.
right? Today, even
That's true.
they didn't exist before. So yeah, I think I think university as well and the school system will need to adapt to this new
Right.
world, right?
hmm hmm Yeah, yeah, and so many changes at once, right? It feels very exponential.
Mm,
But as Charles Darwin said, he didn't say survival of the strongest. He said survival of the most adaptable, right? Which is, I guess, true professionally and personally.
mhm,
But if we take a step back, right? You said you were 7 years old when you moved from Romania to Italy to
mhm.
Turin, right? Directly to Turin.
Yeah, actually, a near city here called Rivoli, but it's like 10 kilometers
Really?
away.
Okay. So, do you think you would have had like a similar path or a different path if you had stayed in Romania? Like, how much of a difference was it for you in terms of evolving and developing yourself?
Wow, that's a great question. Because I mean, in Romania, where I still have my home and my grandparents, uh, I live in a very rural city. I mean, it's not a city; it's a county, right?
Right.
And here in Italy, I live in a city, and there in Romania, you don't have a university nearby, so you have to move when you finish high
Mhm,
school to a nearby city.
mhm,
Um, so I think it would be very different kind of
mhm,
situation from
mhm.
I mean, here my parents. I mean, I have the university right, like 10 minutes from with bus, so
Right.
it was very easy for me here in Italy.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
economically speaking, from if I was living in Romania, it it would be really expensive for my parents to get me to university. You know,
Uh,
pay
Okay.
rent
Okay.
to a housing in the city. So yeah, it was a great opportunity.
Mhm.
Going to Italy and studying here. So I think it helped me with my so-called career.
Well, it is a career, indeed. You know, it's like you are on the right path. I think from all the conversations we had, we spoke about so many things, and the path and the journey and ikigai and
Mm.
all that stuff. And the thing is, you never stop evolving if you think like that, right? It's like it's the same thing at 25 and 35. You're always looking for something. You're always trying to get better at stuff. But for example, in terms of interest, do you think moving to Italy opened this box of developer interest or computer science to you, or was it something you always had, that you always wanted to do this, or not, as you mentioned?
Yeah, that's a great question again, because um, I don't know, because I wasn't really into computer when I was young.
Yeah.
Uh, First time I've decided to take this computer science path was when I decided the profile to follow in high school,
Hmm.
right? When you decide to what high school to go to, uh,
Right.
you are automatically deciding what profile to follow up on.
Okay.
And I decided to go with computer science just because all my friends decided to go there, right? I did it for them. I wasn't really thinking about, yeah, I want to do computer science. I wasn't into computers at all till then. And actually, my parents insisted initially to go to a scientific high school, scientific,
Scientific.
yeah, so like to become a doctor or something like that. But I didn't want to because nobody of my mates
Yeah.
went there. So at the end of
Right.
the day, I decided to go with computer science. But yeah, it wasn't something in me that it was there before that decision.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like the inner developer passion, like the
No,
heart beating for programmable code, and
no, I don't have that in me. No.
yeah, but who doesn't love a little peer pressure? It's like with cigarettes and studies, it's the same.
Mhm.
You just start smoking because of your friends, and you get to computer science because of your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you look back today, I know it's a very complicated question, but do you think
Mhm.
it was a good choice in general if you consider everything?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I think career-wise, it was the
Yeah,
best decision ever. Uh,
cool.
and also because okay, I'm not like I don't have this programming mindset in me, but I have this like I think of myself like a problem solver, you know.
Mm, right.
Mm. So I think this combines well with what you do uh in computer science as well.
Ah, okay, okay, got it.
So
Hmm.
Um, yeah, even though I wasn't into programming at all initially, these problem solving skills that I have, so I really liked mathematics, for
Hmm.
example, and I
Hmm.
think it helped me uh, connect more with programming and automatically get drawn into uh,
Right. Hmm.
these
Field for
this
everything.
field exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Well, and that's interesting because we overlap a lot in that respect.
Mm.
I'm also a problem solver, or I'm considered a problem solver. Like, there's a word in English, it's called fixer.
Mm.
Maybe you've heard of it, right? You're a fixer. And there's even a series with, I don't remember the name, but it's about this guy who fixes issues for, like Hollywood celebrities. For
Mm-hmm.
example, somebody with a good image. Just as an example, let's say Brad Pitt, he has like a clean reputation, right? Like a
Okay.
very relaxed, and like, you don't hear bad things about Brad Pitt, right? It's very
Yeah.
difficult, right?
Uh-huh.
And so imagine him, all of a sudden he gets up at the night and he goes to a strip club, which is entirely counter to his character. He drinks a lot, he has sex with a prostitute, and then on the next day he sees all his images in the newspaper or something.
Yeah.
And so they sent a fixer to
Uh-huh.
take care of it, to remove images from the newspaper. And
Ah,
I
okay.
know it's a very strange analogy, but Problem solver means fixer to me in a certain way. You know,
Mhm,
that you solve your client's issues, whatever they are. Sometimes, you know, and I also do that from the creative perspective,
mhm.
and that's pretty cool because then we complement each other, as we've seen, right? You do the mathematics kind of stuff, and I also learned that I need mathematics, mate, as a designer. Fall calculator, right?
Yeah, I heard you talk about it with your other
Yeah.
invite. Yeah, like yeah, with Pedro.
Ex- Exactly, right? So we do need mathematics. It's a curse, and at the same time, it's good to know, right?
Yeah.
So mate, if you think about the your career that you have described so far
Mhm.
and the point we're at, so since university, you've been working as a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
Right. Um, can you tell us a little bit about how was this experience for you? How you got into that, and if you compare or think of exposures such as Fiverr, Upwork, etc., what was your experience working in or starting to
Mhm.
work in on those platforms?
Yeah, so as I said, I started working on Fiverr. I mean, I wasn't really working with on Fiverr. It it started like a side hustle to make a quick buck
Yeah,
while I was studying. So I didn't took it very seriously initially. Um, and
right,
platforms like Fiverr are really hard to. Uh, I mean, if you create an account, it's really hard to get on top of the ranking. Uh,
right.
you need to start low, start with. Uh, I mean, to lower your pricings as well. So Uh, I mean, that's how I did it. I had like 1, 2 orders a month. Like first orders were like $5 each. That seemed like
Right.
a big bug. So yeah, that's how I started. Um, but with lots of orders, growing up
Mhm.
my reputation on Fiverr with new
Right.
reviews, etc. Um, yeah, I started to increasing my price, the prices of my gigs as well, starting working with better clients.
Mhm.
I think that what helped me the most actually was creating this connection with the actual customers and having
Mhm.
repeating buyers, so
Oh, right.
creating this network of people that I mean, I'm always there to help them,
Yep.
and yeah, in this freelance mentality, I think um, the network is the most important asset that you can build,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was what made me grow the most.
Mm,
Building a
right.
strong network. Because nowadays I still receive orders from Fiverr,
Mhm.
but sometimes I have so many orders that I need to take care of outside of Fiverr that I need to close my profile,
Oh, right.
for
You
these
can pause
orders.
it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, right. Right. Damn. So you're swimming in money. That's what you're telling us.
Uh, no, not really, not really. But I have a lot of work to do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So the mindset of estimating and taking care of your network, expanding it,
Mm,
creating partnerships instead of one-time projects, that's what made the difference for you.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm. What was the most difficult thing about that?
Mm. Uh, you mean about growing the this network? How?
Yeah, yeah. For example, some people they grow it on social media, right? So they start posting on LinkedIn, blah 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 blah. But we are
Mhm.
talking here about a freelance platform where people offer their services, right? It's not really a network building
Yeah.
kind of place, right? So how
Uh,
did you? What was challenging about growing your network outside or
okay.
inside Fiverr or both?
So given the fact that I'm a pretty shy, introverted guy, I think the most difficult thing was to um, actually start communicating better and creating a relationship with the client, not just
Yeah.
uh, have the requirements and give the results, the
Right.
final
Right.
result. Uh, yeah, I started communicating better and better. I try to also on the side analyze their current setup or website or everything I was working on and
Yeah.
give them insights and
Hmm.
based on my expertise,
Right. Right.
and that created trust between me and the clients and strengthened our relationship.
Hmm.
And yeah, uh, yeah, the most difficult part for me as an introverted was that creating uh, this relationship, between
Yeah.
me and the
Yeah.
client.
Totally.
And I mean, I know Romanian, I know Italian because I lived here, but English, I studied English in high school and I never went
Yeah.
abroad or study abroad. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really hard for me, to take on a call like we have today and
Yeah. Sure.
speak in English. So
Yeah. Yeah. But for that, I think you learn very quickly when it comes to English. Like
uh, I actually watch a lot of YouTube videos from English speakers, but
mhm.
I think in this case practice is the key. You need to also communicate with your own words because I
Right.
can understand
Right.
everything in English, but until um, you speak, uh, I don't think. I mean, yeah, you need to practice. It's not just listening and reading.
Yeah. That's not the way it works. And they say you have an active and a passive vocabulary. The passive is the one you understand, and the active is the one you use, right? And so active is generally much lower than the passive in 99% of the cases.
For sure.
So, for instance, I think in English it was about 800 to 1200 words
Hmm.
that you should know in order to communicate properly as an
Hmm.
active language, right? And then the passive one is like 2000 to 3000. So you absorb the information, you understand it, but you don't necessarily use it as well, But
Hmm.
that's going to depend on the language as well,
Yeah.
If we're talking about German, I still don't understand German today. It's like really, and, like I've been living in Germany for a long time, but still, I think my working language is English, same as you, right? Because we deal with international people and so many different people all over the world, and so you just gotta find a common ground, And if you settle on English, then I think it's easy for everybody. And English is such a great language to express yourself. It's got like a huge vocabulary, absolutely huge vocabulary, like 80,000 words or something you can see in the dictionary, and that's insane,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and so
I agree.
your English is pretty good in my opinion. Also, speaking as a non-native um, guy here, I also learned English at high school, and then I studied partially in university in English, and then everything else was, self-taught. Just watching some series and watching YouTube videos and Tony Robbins seminar, like stuff like that. That's what helped me with the vocabulary. But tell us,
Hmm.
Alex. So we spoke about Fiverr, and Fiverr is really built on this reputation of offering cheap prices
Mm.
under the market in most instances. And
Yeah.
due to the globalization, you can pay somebody in Pakistan or India €5 to do something that you would charge 100 here in Germany or Italy, right? So
Yeah.
you've been doing this for a long time. You've seen the developments, the ups and downs. What do you think about this? The surge in worldwide competition. Do you think it's still about the pricing?
Mm.
Only the pricing, or and if it is not, how do you see yourself being better than the competition, or how do you attract your clients if you're not offering like the lowest prices? What's the development like these days?
Very, very interesting question again. So I think that on platforms like Fiverr, if you don't already have a presence online, like on LinkedIn
Right.
or your own website or your own network of people that you're working with, uh, you need 100% to start by lowering your prices, because
Okay.
otherwise you will not get visibility.
Okay.
So
Got it.
you kind of need to be the Pakistani of the Europe, if you want to say. But nowadays, I don't compete on lowering my prices anymore,
Right.
because I noticed that uh, yeah, you can always find someone that can do it for cheaper around the world. So
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
you need to give back value in another way, not just
Hmm.
money wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm approaching this like an expert, and
Hmm.
I mean like an expert in the service that I offer, not just like
Right.
coder programmer that you just tell me what to do, I implement it, and
Right. Right. Hmm.
I want to create this relationship with the client. I have
Hmm.
multiple clients that actually live in Italy, right? That they are
Mm.
Italians, and they initially started looking for the cheaper options, and they go to these Pakistani
Yeah.
Indian guys, and I mean, they get the results that they ask for that
Right.
chip,
Right.
but it's really hard for them to then iterate on these initial requirements. The communication between them,
Mm.
they're Italian,
Hmm.
they don't speak good.
On top of it,
Yeah.
to build on top of it.
So
Right.
it kind of, okay, you pay less, but it works against you in the long term. Okay.
Right. Hmm. Hmm.
So if you actually find someone that you can have like one call and really express everything that comes to your mind, and he understands it right away, you don't
Hmm.
have to deal
Hmm.
with a lot of uh, how do you call it, review, when yeah, he reviews the code and no, that's not actually what I meant,
Right. Right. Yeah. The
yeah,
loop. Yeah.
yeah,
Review loop.
the review loop, and it never ends. So I have multiple clients, yeah, from Italy, as I told you, that uh, after initially working with this type of freelancers, then get back to me and ask me to work on their code, and that's another issue I'm uh, facing. I mean, they are facing actually, my customers. I mean, uh, I noticed that um, the code itself, it's not actually written to be um, the code itself needs to be enjoyable, to be
Right.
to I mean, that it needs to be written in a clear way, concise way, so if another developer comes and take a look at it
Mhm.
or need to iterate on make some modifications, like, he needs to understand what's going on. And
Right.
sometimes what happens is that I see this code that is a complete mess, uh, variables named in not in English, like just numbers, and I can't really understand what's going on.
Right.
So as a developer, I'm not only focusing on delivering the good result, I mean the thing that
Right.
the customers sees in the browser, but I want to deliver a product that where its source code it's actually um, great, and another
Hmm.
developer can easily work on.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So to make it accessible, right, in a way.
yeah, both for the
Mm.
client and for the next developer as well.
Yeah, but who wants an ex developer if they have you?
Yeah,
And it's really interesting what you said, and it's a funny story because we actually met on Fiverr, if you
yeah,
remember. Right? We actually met on Fiverr, and I was doing this crazy, insane project I'll also never speak about again. lots of headaches, and I was really in despair and needed somebody to do this configurator stuff that you remember, right?
that
The
we didn't
all those
ever finished.
never finished that thing. And I was like, okay, he's from Italy. That's good. Number one, right? Because EU, you know. And number two, the thing is like there are people, good people everywhere. That's true. Absolutely. Like I have guys working in Brazil right now, USA, Germany, of course, Italy, such as yourself, Japan. I even have a guy from Kenya. So
Mhm,
you can find people in gems. They're rare, right? But you can find them everywhere. But the thing is, really, if you go to Fiverr and the reputation that it has, especially from these people, because they're pretending to be experts as well, and that's another issue. You can be whoever you want to be on Fiverr, right? If you choose it, if you choose
mhm.
to pretend to be an expert, it's gonna take a while until people find out that maybe you're not. So,
Yeah,
as you mentioned, you create an account and there you go. You can start selling. Basically, that's it, right? And the
yeah.
funny thing is, you're now a Fiverr Pro, right? The Pro
Mhm.
program, which is for, I guess, for elites Romanians living in Italy. Like you have the Fiverr Pro badge, which is very impressive. And funny thing is, I applied for the Fiverr Pro badge
Mhm.
like last year. You can apply, right? There's an
Yeah, yeah.
application pro.
Mhm.
You know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they asked me for like my qualifications and the website, and I sent them like my work and my two studio websites, and you can
Uh-huh.
find me all over the LinkedIn, blah blah blah. And they said, no, you're not getting the Fiverr Pro badge. What? Are you crazy? If
Well,
I don't get it, how can somebody get it? you know?
maybe you need a reference, like the one you said.
Refer me, please. I really want it.
I'll
and,
be waiting.
uh,
I'll be waiting for that.
and I found it out, and I was like so disappointed at the same time. And I think it's very interesting what you mentioned about the price. And then we're back to problem solving mentality, right? Because
Mhm.
myself as well, I'm not the cheapest, I'm not the most expensive, and I differentiate myself via other stuff, via problem solving and having a good relationship and actually offering value back, And so you gotta work with people who don't only pay attention to price. That's number one, right? And then it becomes so difficult to find good people to work with it. It's insane. But do you see um do you see there's a way to like without the AI, etc.,
Mhm.
do you see a development towards um, people getting more niche down and people having to specialize more in order to differentiate themselves? So, for example, you can go to Fiverr right now and you can say, I will code you so and so on Shopify, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then it's like a basic thing that you just input into ChatGPT and you get back a result that you
Mhm.
can actually use because it's so simple. So,
Yeah.
not complex. So everybody can do that, but the more it advances and the more do you think that most of the unqualified people that they're gonna lose in the long term and that you're always gonna be getting more specialized people such as yourself?
Uh, that's a great question again. Uh, yeah, what I'm thinking about AI, I mean, I see it like a good I see it like a good tool that you as a programmer can use to make
Yeah,
your life easier, your work
yeah,
easier, and get stuff done quickly. But if you don't know what you're doing and you are just asking the AI to do it and just copy the code by yourself,
yeah.
uh, the final result will be pretty bad.
Messy.
In my opinion, yeah, it gets messy real quickly. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, uh, you know for sure, like if they can't solve a problem and you tell them, "Oh no, that doesn't work because of that," it always says, "Ah, yeah, you're right."
That's true.
you need to change that. But I mean, you asked the initial question. Why did it give it to you
Right, right, yeah.
your wrong answer, right? And it always agrees with you with what you're telling the AI,
Mm,
and
mm,
it then starts hallucinates, adding a lot of code, a lot of messy code that it
yeah,
goes
yeah,
off track with what you initially asked.
right.
So if you use it like a tool for
Hmm.
helping you
Hmm.
and you already know what you're doing, so you can
Right,
read the code and understand it,
right.
um, yeah, I think that's very helpful.
Hmm.
But if you are just copy pasting, you can get into real problems, especially if you are working on uh, real production code that maybe interacts with databases,
Mm,
authentication, and stuff
mm,
like that, payments. Um,
mm.
yeah, I wouldn't mess with it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, your question was about people on Fiverr like using these AI tools, right?
yeah,
To
yeah,
complete
exactly.
bad. Um, Yeah, there are a lot of these guys nowadays, I think. And yeah, everything works until it doesn't.
Uh,
So when it gets messy, you
yeah,
then reach to a real developer
yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
it fixed. And yeah, I mean, if it works for you, great.
Right.
But
Yeah, yeah. And then you gotta call the fixer, right?
yeah, exactly. So you will always need someone that really knows how it works, you know? That's
Ah, right.
just not an AI prompt.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you also from the creative perspective. If I'm trying to brainstorm some ideas, right, as you mentioned, I think that's a very good point. It always agrees with you. It's like a little bitch, just says yes, 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 And what I find very frustrating is how fast it loses track of the context,
Mhm.
right? So you do like 20 messages and then it's lost the entire context and you can't refer back to what you started with. And then you get into these endless loops that
Yeah,
lead you nowhere, right? Then you spend like 10 hours on ChatGPT trying to fix something that you, for example, as an expert would have fixed in 1 hour, So
exactly.
it's very frustrating. And how many times did I reach out to you, desperate and crying, and say, "Alex, please help me with this. I'm not progressing," And so it's very frustrating. And at the same
Mhm.
time, we gotta keep in mind this is not really AI. This is just a language model, right? It's not a real intelligence like a person. It works very differently.
Mhm.
In terms of like workflow, Alex, how has it impacted your own workflow? Like, in what respect does it make your life easier when it comes to programming or developing?
Mhm. Yeah, so my first touch with AI was like 3, 4 years ago when I don't know if you heard of GitHub Copilot. Did you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
heard of it? Yeah, it's
Hmm.
like an AI assistant that helps you with coding. It's like an
Hmm.
extension that you install into VS Code, which is,
Hmm.
for who doesn't know, a text editor that programmers these days use.
Right.
And yeah, initially it's based on ChatGPT. So behind the hood, it uses
Mm.
ChatGPT.
Hmm.
But how it worked initially, it worked like an autocompleter. So basically, it was looking at your entire code base and
Hmm.
specifically at the file that you were working on. And
Okay.
while you were typing, it kind of suggests the continuation, right?
Ah,
So
right.
as you said, it's not actually a reasoning or an artificial intelligence in the intelligent
Yeah.
term, but it's just a language model, as you said. So it
Yeah.
starts
Yeah.
suggesting how these function should continue, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, for this type of task, when the context is pretty clear, like I'm writing a function that, for the sake of examples, multiplies two variables, and you call the
Mhm.
function multiplier, and you give the parameters a and b, it really
Yeah.
knows how to complete this function, you
Mm.
know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, so this is my first introduction to AI, and it helped me a lot for basic stuff. Like,
Mm,
yeah, when I was writing, it was auto suggesting how to complete the function, how to complete the code,
right,
and I would
right.
just need to check it real quick, and it helped me a lot. I mean, I wouldn't need to write everything by my own, you know.
Mm,
So
got
I
it.
can see the suggestion and say apply.
Right.
But today I'm using another tool, which is called Cursor, which is basically
Okay.
like a fork on VS Code. So it's another
It
text editor.
works. It's
A fork. It's a
a
fork.
fork.
Yeah, it's you take a software and you create a copy of it,
Ah,
and
like
you
a
use it.
tree, like a.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah, so this is a fork of VS Code, and um, yeah, it's a really hard focus on AI tools.
Yeah.
And right now with the introductions of agents, do you know what agents are? Um,
Uh, Not really sure. No.
it's
What are they?
like the next step of AI tools. I mean, usually what happens with AI tools, like if you open ChatGPT or something, it
Yeah.
you just ask a question and you get back an answer. Then you
Mhm.
ask another question and you get back an answer. With agents, what you can do, I mean, it's a really great tool. We you basically give the agent, which is the AI, full control of your
Mm.
terminal, of your code base,
Right.
and if you tell him like create me this functionality, it automatically creates a file. Then once he created the file, he reiterates over the question and on what he has done so far, and then he tries to run the
Right.
code, and in the terminal, he if it finds some errors, he can fix it automatically for you. So you give it like free will, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it seems kind of cool, right?
All right.
But
Kind of
the,
scary. Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of scary. Yeah.
it is scary because most of the time it goes off of track if you let him freely,
Right.
and it starts
Right.
creating a lot of files, and it goes back off track. Um, yeah, so these are uh, the AI tools that I use. Of course, I use ChatGPT and Claude as well in the browser for sending emails and creating quotes for my clients.
All right.
And yeah, it's helped me with my productivity because I mean to write down a
Right.
quote in Google Docs, it took me like an hour and a half, and now it takes me
Totally.
15
Yeah.
minutes. So it
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
helped me a lot.
Yeah. That's cool. And I guess it's like mostly the mechanical work, right? It's like
Mhm.
the typing and like finishing sentences, and like these days even Microsoft Word finishes a sentence for you. It's totally insane. And I like what you said, that it's kind of like it's just another tool in your box, right? That you have at your disposal. But if you don't know how to use it, it's going to be pointless and even counterproductive, right? Because it's going to cost you
Exactly.
more time, as we spoke before, right? It's going to take you more time to find something that works, you where you would rather have done it yourself, right? So I found it also very helpful in the mechanical tests, as you said, as I use it for as well in the creative industry for like keywords and doing like really brainstorming session. You just give it one input and then you get like 30 inputs back.
Hmm.
They are not necessarily useful, or but they open your mind even more. It's like the
Yeah.
forking, right? It opens your first thought. It kind of like branches into 2 and 4 and 8 and 16. So it's kind of like one of those trees and the rabbit hole that you can go very deep into that. And so it's good for lightening, for expanding your train of thought, I think. And that's also useful in the creative industry where I work myself. So but most of the time, I'll just call you and I'm like, Alex, fix this shit for me. I can't. I just can't. I can't. Um,
Yeah. So as long as you use it as what it actually is, an AI, a language model, as
yeah,
you said. So if you use it to create and reason on text, yeah, it's a very great tool. But yeah, it's not
Yeah.
yet capable of really thinking or reasoning, you know.
Mhm. Do you think that's ever going to be possible? They will create real intelligence?
I had a course in university called General Intelligence, and I
Right.
mean, yeah, that's what scientists are trying to build, but I don't know, because the brain is really complex, and I don't think we actually really know what real intelligence means and how to build it.
Right.
What
Mm,
we are
mm.
building are just language models right now.
Yeah, they seem complex, but if you compare them to the brain, as I said, it's nothing, right? I mean, and if you think about the fact that there's like more neuron cells in the brain than there are stars in the universe, it's like a micro universe
Yeah.
that is full of mysteries, just like the universe itself, and we're just very naive to think that we can understand it. We
Mhm.
don't. We don't understand it yet. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where it becomes like 100% like a
Mhm.
person. I think it's very difficult to imagine that. And there are like movies like Deus Ex Machina. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if you know that movie,
Yeah.
right? Where they deal with that, or you got to think of The Matrix, right? Which came out in 1999, which is like 25 years ago. And like, if you compare that to The Matrix, it's scary how much progress we've made. But that's my first thought. Like I
Mhm.
hear ChatGPT getting better, I'm like, oh my god, tomorrow we're gonna be batteries to the machine. It's like, and that's insane. And once again, what I had in the other podcast as well with Pedro
Mhm.
is a question of just because we can doesn't mean we should, right?
Mhm.
Just because, and that's for example what they were in China. They were working on creating this artificial embryo. Well, maybe you've heard about that. Like a
Mhm.
human embryo that
Okay.
is like a cloned. So basically creating a baby in the lab, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, they were working on that in the last 2 years or something.
Uh,
And then the medical community started to analyze what they were doing. And turns out it's ethically not really recommendable to try to create people in the lab. So
okay.
one of those big questions that we're like, we don't want to play God here. It's
Mhm.
insane how meta it gets right from year. And once again, I think as a tool, I don't think we should go deeper into trying to really
Mhm.
manipulate intelligence. We don't know what it is. And as you said, it's like there's musical intelligence, right?
Mhm.
Where you can understand music and different types of intelligence that we humans are capable of, and it's not a binary intelligence, right? And so, how do we convey that? How do we summarize that? We don't know, right? We just don't know yet. And it's good to see progress in the scientific community, but at the same time, once again, ethics are very important, I think, to me, and
Mhm.
difficult to find these days. And so, yeah, man, should we do this just because we can? I don't know. I don't have the answers, right? But it's very strange,
Yeah.
watching the Matrix when you were younger, and then today, if you look at those agents, Agent Smith, brother, it's like Agent
Yeah,
Smith. What you
exactly.
mean? It's
Yeah.
it's from the movie, and it's so insane, and it's so fast, and we're not ready for that. We're just not ready for that. hundred
But
thousand years of human evolution, that's nothing. You know, we're babies
but
here in the
but
history
it's
of mankind.
fascinating. I mean, what we did in the last 5 years, I guess, 5 to 10 years,
Yeah, yeah,
that we have
yeah. That's
ChatGPT and these stuffs, and what they can do today is really crazy.
totally, man. So from a scientific perspective, I can appreciate that, and I find it impressive as well, the evolution. But I don't think we'll ever reach like the singularity, right, as they call it, to
Mhm.
really create intelligence. I don't think so. And if we can, I don't think we should. You know, I don't think we
Yeah,
should.
I agree. I agree with it.
You know Jordan Peterson, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. And so there was something very interesting that he said. that instead of that, in many countries the birthing rate is very low, right?
Hmm.
Especially in Europe and the US, where people are choosing not to have kids, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that is caused by many different factors. But Jordan Peterson said, instead of putting our thoughts into AI and hoping that it can solve today's problems, we
Hmm.
should just create more people. Because the more people you have, the more problem solving brains you're going to have. And
Yeah.
so instead of 8 billion people, if you had double that, maybe you would have double as many problem solvers in the world that could
Mm.
tackle, like the issues of poverty and economics and stuff like that, man. What do you think?
I think that based on what you told me initially during this call, uh, if we follow along this path, we will just have more fixers, you know, to fix what AI is actually doing wrong. Uh, yeah, that's a really profound topic that we didn't
It
talk
is.
about ethics and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have an answer to it.
Yeah.
Really
Nobody.
interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? And it's very funny that we start every conversation talking about the weather, and then we're talking about AI and the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's really really interesting. But those are the big topics, and people are fascinated by the big topics, as it should be, I guess, right? Um, so if we come a little back to your situation these days, where do you see yourself going next? What are what's on your plan for the next couple of years or decades? And I know we've been working for a long time now, and you're a friend, and we've spoken so much about this. And
Hmm.
um, there's a lot in the background, right? As we know, right? But
Yeah.
if you think about the future, what are you thinking about?
Um, so, uh, given the experience that I accumulated in those years,
Hmm.
and I also mean the experience with the relations that I build with people like you, and um, I would want to follow a path similar to yours and create my own agency as well, um, focused on Shopify specifically, but
Right,
not only that. Yeah, I'm building my own agency at the moment. Um, I see myself. Uh, I mean, I don't really see. I still see myself like a programmer. It's still
right,
hard for me to think like a business owner or entrepreneur. That
right,
not it's not working. I'm not working all alone, or um, I don't have that experience in working with big teams, so I don't really
right,
know how to handle multiple clients all at once, multiple peoples that
right.
um, I'm collaborating with. Uh, but I want to really take on that path and see how it goes, and I want to really understand. Uh, I mean, to put myself in these shoes and see what I can do, what can be done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential there, right?
Yeah,
That you're talking about
exactly.
it, that you're thinking about, and I can see your mind just racing. It's like okay, be here, 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 and
Mm,
uh, I mean, you only get one life, and there's so many interesting things in life that at the same time you get to be sad because you can't do everything, and
mm,
on the other hand, it can be your ikigai, right? As we spoke about, maybe if you find your ikigai, maybe you'll be happy finally, or not, or who knows, right? But I understand it's difficult to coordinate your work with the business part,
yeah.
which I find well, right? And sometimes I don't want to deal with clients, I just want to create shit, I just want to
Mhm,
put it out there and talk about the matrix and, like have like interesting conversations and write philosophy and stuff like that. But I guess because we are business owners, because which is good and bad at the same time. we kind of have to understand that somehow. We have to play the game a little bit, as they call it, right, to move forward. But I think just as myself, I think you with your clients, you see them all as partnerships, right? You're
Mhm.
together on a journey that leads somewhere. And maybe it's about the journey, maybe it's about the destination. I don't know. But with your agency, I think it's going to be very, very, very cool. And what do you think you would do differently in your agency when you get there? What is going to characterize your way of working, your way of doing things?
Mm. Wow. Always easy questions from you.
Sorry.
I mean, man. What will characterize my agency? Uh, I don't know. I still want to focus on the practicality of things. The
Mm,
the actual functionality. I see you and your agency like a more creative. Uh, uh, I don't know how to put
motif?
it. What? Sorry.
Like a motif? Creative motif?
Yeah, like a motif. You are more creative. I mean, if you get like a blank screen, you you start your ideas come to your mind right away, and you can put things together. On the other
Mhm.
side, I see myself like if I'm getting a blank page, I don't really know what to write down. I my memory my brain goes blank all the way. So um yeah, I'm more on the practical analytical
Mm,
type of guy.
sure.
So I would focus on resolving complex problems rather
Mhm.
than creating helping uh the business owners
Yeah,
um to create their store or something like that. I mean,
right.
uh I want to help them implement the functionality that they need to have on their website.
Okay.
So in your store for converting, we will
Yeah,
create
yeah, okay.
your brand from scratch. Um, I think of it um, like the backend guys, like
Mm, mhm,
we implement the functionalities, so the backend
right.
and everything what works behind the hood. So below the design, what you have and how it works. Yeah, I want to focus on this part of the business
Right.
owners of Shopify.
Yeah, that's cool. Like the keyword being complex problem solving,
Exactly.
like
that
that.
that sounds good. Yeah.
Do you have a name for your agency already?
We already have it. It's called
Ooh.
Zanisme, but it's not there.
Ooh.
We actually came up with this name like 4 years ago, but we never
Mm.
started. So
I
we
think
have bought the domain, but it's
you
still
told
in
me
the
about that. Where did
yeah.
the name come from again?
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's like Google.
Yeah, 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 like ChatGPT, give me nonsensical names,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Like short name
No
that
problem.
yeah, that it's easy
Yeah,
to
that's
remember.
awesome. Do you see that already in 1, 2, 3 years? Like, how far do you think you
Mm.
this plan is?
We don't really have a plan right now. I mean, I still want to first focus on Fiverr, and maybe I will upgrade my account to an agent's account. This is
Ah,
a thing you
okay.
can do today on
Hmm.
Fiverr, and maybe from there we will start uh, gathering, for SEO ranking. We will need some time for the website to get some
Right.
ranking, and yeah, I hope in the next few years I can finally get out of Fiverr and their 20% fee
Yeah.
rate. But no, I
Yeah. No, sounds promising. Sounds really promising.
Hmm.
Yeah, we've spoken about this. There's a lot behind the scenes, right? And there's a big foundation as part of this plan, and especially because it's gonna be built on Webflow, right?
It's actually already built, and it's not built on Webflow. I'm sorry.
That's such a pity. But yeah, man. So it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna keep working on our partnership, growing, and like going from there and just. I think the keyword here maybe is custom. Like to do custom things that are
Mm,
very specialized, very niched, and very yeah, not only specialized but special, right, at the same time. And so that's also what I want to focus on. I'm tired of like templates and stuff like that.
mm,
In terms of design,
exactly.
right? I want the blank page, as you told me. Which is sometimes scary. You see, oh my god, you have nothing, right? But at the same time, you have nothing, which is also cool, right? So you can build on top of that, and I'm focusing more and more on custom solutions, which is exactly what I want as well. And working with further initiatives like our magic phone calculator and all the. Not only that, don't worry. There's a lot of stuff going on, and yeah, and going moving towards that, towards a platform that offers really only custom stuff. Very specialized, very special, very individualized. That's what I want as well. So yeah, we're gonna be growing together on this as well. We have, and I think it's gonna be very
A
cool.
long
I'm
journey.
excited. Second,
Yeah, it's gonna be a long journey.
one
For
journey, mate, one journey. So to finalize, where can people find you? What do you want to tell people? What should they know about Alex Timofte? How can they contact you for work or partnerships?
So yeah, I can send you my Faber account
Put
in the
in the
link
link,
down
right?
below. My LinkedIn account as well. You can
Cool.
write me a DM, and we can
Beautiful.
schedule a call and talk about your great project.
Pinterest?
No, I don't have Pinterest, no.
YouTube?
No,
Thing?
but I'm
Where's your
planning I'm planning on doing so. I'm planning
where's oh doing what?
on opening a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when
fantastic.
I'll have it, please put it below.
Well, definitely, and maybe you can invite me and then ask me the tough questions.
Sounds good.
That's awesome, man. Anything you wanna leave as a last note?
I think that's all. Thank you
That was a
for
lot, man.
coming.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. And yeah, people contact Alex Timofte. He's the man, the dude, the guy, the Romanian Italian. And I appreciate you being here. It was a great conversation, as always.
Thank you for your time, mate. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
it.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.